Welcome to the In My Opinion show with Ronald Barry Robinson and friends. Before we start this program, I would like to mention October is designated Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Every month should be designated Health Awareness. Men and women should get their yearly health exams. Good health is the most important asset you possess. It's not money or other material possessions. Without good health, you have nothing. If you feel sick or have breast abnormalities at any age, make your healthcare professional do the tests. The right test, or get another doctor that will perform the test. Your life may depend on it. It's that simple. Don't forget to vote. And when you vote, make your vote count. Vote intelligently. Vote for those that have your interests at heart. Don't vote for name recognitions, friends or neighbors, or elected officials, especially if they have done nothing to enhance your communities or your quality of living. The In My Opinion show has an appeal to our loyal viewers. Due to the poor economy and joblessness, hundreds of families can't afford to bury their friends or loved ones. They are accumulating in morgue freezers throughout the country by the hundreds. For information or to help, please visit website www.may/W restinpeace.org. I would like to introduce my spectacular panel. We have Mr. Henry Hatter.
Good evening, Ron.
And we have Mr. Richard Dix.
Good evening, Ron.
Welcome all to the In My Opinion show.
Junior,
okay. Death panels. Healthcare. What's the problem with everyone getting quality health care? The debate has been raging for the last 30 years or longer. The lies that the insurance companies, lobbyists, Republicans are spewing is ridiculous. We're spending $1 billion a day in foreign nations such as Afghanistan and Iraq, engaged in an unwinnable war. Thousands of American men and women have been killed. Tens of thousands have been wounded and disabled, never again able to wear the uniform of our great nation, and we're debating health care. Where's the humanity in all of this insanity and madness? Healthcare reform overhaul is badly needed. Those pundits that seek to convey disinformation, death panels for the elderly, lies paid by lobbyists, insurance companies, and healthcare providers. Their only purpose in confusing the masses is so that they can continue to charge outrageous deductibles and reap enormous profits from the marginalized. When we talk about the marginalized and poor, according to the American Journal of Public Health, almost 3 million men, women, and children have died within the last 10 years because of a lack of quality health care. In my opinion, this is murder. Those that denied health care to these human beings, whether it be the insurance companies, doctors, hospitals, should be charged with murder. It's that simple. Those CEOs and executives of insurance companies rake in millions of dollars in bonuses every year. The sad part about all this is that our elected officials allow this greed to go unchecked. Folks, 80 million men, women, and children are without any health care in our nation. Millions more have only limited health care. 17,000 men and women lose their health care every day. Thousands of men, women, and children die every day because they can't afford health care coverage. You are 100% guaranteed to get sick and 100% positive that you're going to die at some time in your life. This health care debate, in my opinion, is solely about the Republican Party trying to return to the national spotlight at any cost and by any means. I'm so sick and tired of all the code words and bullshit to confuse people, such as health care reform by the government is socialism, the government will institute death panels, the lies are endless. Who gives a shit what health care is called, whether it's single payer, government options, co-op, etc., etc. One thing is for sure, the American public can't trust the insurance companies to do the right thing, as they have no integrity. In case your memories are clouded, look at what the greedy financial institutions have done to our economy. We certainly can't trust them either. Is it time for another revolution? Only this time it won't be about tea and a guy named Paul Revere yelling the British are coming. This time it will be angry citizens demanding human rights. And while we're debating health care, it's the moral thing to have quality health care for all undocumented men, women, and children living in America. Because if we don't, America risks outbreaks of all kinds of diseases. I know that this proposal to many is unacceptable, but it's the moral and ethical thing to do. Healthcare is a human rights issue. Mr. Dix, what is your thoughts?
Well, I want to say first,
the death panels and the discussion by Republican former governor Sarah Palin is an example of individuals who are uninformed. The idea that the president is doing this to kill off seniors is absolutely ridiculous, and this discussion has gone to the sublime. And what's happening here is that what we have is the Republican Party is towing the ideological line where their belief system is saying that we're going to protect corporations, we're going to protect private enterprise, we're going to protect these individuals who have lobbied and paid us millions of dollars. And so what they're doing is protecting their interests, which is the bottom line, the dollar. And the sad thing is that reform is needed, and it is coming. Just as recent as October 25th, the Senate had come out of a committee with the public option. The problem with the public option is that they're going to allow states who wish not to participate to opt out. Now, that would be such a tragedy because it's not going to bring down costs. Because if you find a number of Republican legislators who control the House or Senate, they're going to maintain a position in the party line that's going to ensure that the public option is dead on arrival. They'll allow it to come forward, get the cash, and then they'll kill it. And they'll say, see, it didn't work. So what we have to do, and this is speaking directly to the president, is that you have to mandate a public option and that it is written in the bill for all states to participate and tie it to federal dollars. That makes sense there because any other system will not bring down costs. And the public option is just a marketplace where individuals can shop to pick the insurance that they believe they need. And by the way, it probably will be less than the insurance of, say, Blue Cross, Health Plus, and so on and so forth. So we have to look at this particular approach. The Republicans are, by the way, are on the wrong side of history today, and they can't help it. And if you look at the Republican Party overall, they're actually disintegrating. It's unpopular and it's unsafe to be a Republican. You're better off being independent and thinking for yourself. But this party has really demonstrated that they are really they have a bunch of nuts on one side, and unlike my cohort here, Henry is not one of those nuts. He's a sensible Republican. I would think he's modern day. But you would have, there are some who are simply going off the edge and want to water the tree of liberty, and there's something wrong with that. So in essence, I believe that the government has been on the right track. Just as Medicare and Medicaid was created, so must health care be reformed and bring a public option.
Well, let me ask you this question, Mr. Dix, on this health care. There have been those that say the Republican Party opposes health care because they want to see Obama fail. I'm sure that you've heard that. What is your thoughts on that?
Well, absolutely. It's clear that they're opposing everything that the president is doing. And in fact, they've become the party of no to everything, and they're actually anti-American, anti-everything that stands in America, and they're accusing the president of being exactly that when it's really them who are anti-American. They oppose health care. They oppose strengthening the gun laws to prevent loopholes, so that those who wish to sell the guns like AK-47s. They want to sell those at gun shows. That goes unchecked. And so it's clear to me that they're opposed to any changes or anything that may be beneficial to the country if it's not sensible to the corporations that have bankrolled them for many, many years. And I think it boils down to money and not necessarily a principle to save lives. And by the way, seniors are not going to pass because they won't have health care. And most of the American people are starting to see it. They're starting to read through this rhetoric that have laced the country with death penalties and created some argument that people are going to suffer in long lines, and ultimately they want to avoid single-payer systems like Canada's. And I mean, this is really a lot of hyperbole and clearly to scare individuals. They've used all the tactics including the kitchen sink to scare people. And I believe that people are caught on. This is why the public option has gained momentum, and this is why health care reform has gained momentum, because the president has played it smart and outlasted the entire Republican Party. And the problem with some of these Democrats, and I want my cohort to weigh in because I can see he's itching. The Democrats, those who are not towing the party line, there need to be the big stick need to come out of the White House and remind them who elected them, and because they can go out with the Republicans too. And so I'd love to hear what my cohort has to say.
To our esteemed Republican colleague, Mr. Henry Hatter, it's your turn.
Mr. Dick's diatribe here. And yet there's empirical evidence that there is something wrong with the American healthcare system. Mm-hmm. We know that. This empirical data may come from, irrespective of whether you are born during the Depression of the Second World War, or whether you're baby boomers or X generation or Y generations. All of these generations all criticize the American healthcare system. That means across the generations, they do see something wrong with it, and it can be reformed. But I think the two of you argue from the wrong perspective, and you're sending a misnomer out to the public that it's a Republican Party argument, but it isn't. And just like you said, indicated, that this is a human issue, and it cuts across parties, across racial lines and genders and geographic areas.
But why don't the Republican Party understand that?
They do. They just have a different perspective on. They think they believe that health insurance should be borne by the people who can buy it. Okay? There are others who believe that the government needs to provide health insurance. Somewhere in the middle is where we ought to be, not on either one side or the other.
Then why is it that they can't get a consensus somewhere?
Well, this is what we got to do. This problem will never be resolved without a resolve from the two parties, from the American people, and from all of those interested. It cannot work without bringing those two together. And somewhere we have to compromise so that we can reach common ground. And I don't think the Republicans are all wrong, but they can change. And I believe that we, at some point in our history, in our near history, we will have the public option. But right now, it's just not there. You don't have the support of the American people. And I believe that most surveys show that American people are not ready for it. And I think that we need to focus on the problem and not on the party system, because both parties can move a little bit to rearrange themselves so they can come up with a resolve. And I think that what we need to do is to make sure that American people are not suffering because of the out-of-date ways we look at the system. for 50 years, for 75 years, we had a health care system in this country. Probably, well, maybe between 1940 to today's date, 2000, we had a health system that worked quite well in the country. We had very little reaction to it. It worked well. I don't remember what that was, but it worked well. Until recently, and we brought all of these generations together, they say yes. Even the white generation, they say yes, there's a problem with healthcare. We got too many people that suffer and without access and who have existing conditions. All of these need to be reconciled so that we can develop a health care system that will benefit all Americans. And I do think that we need to, and just another thought. When you were talking about how Republicans attacked Barack Obama on health care, we have to go back to the 1990s, when not only did the Republicans attack Mrs. Clinton, but the country and the press, they all attacked her on the health care model.
Yeah, but she wasn't strong enough to stand up. Obviously, like the present president is.
Well, the president had a mandate, and he when he was elected, and unfortunately, the mouthpiece of the Republican Party, Glenn Beck and Rush Limbaugh and Fox News, they have simply found a way to scare a percentage of, and this is a small percentage, of people who really have not been informed on the issue. And unfortunately, the real issue is that cost keeps going up. The insurance companies are raising costs. And let me give you an example. As a civil servant in the working here in Michigan, what I have encountered is each time we would get raises, we were told that something would be taken from our insurance company because insurance costs was going up. And it seemed to me that that counteracted the raise, which kept us below the standard of the middle class. And overwhelmingly, that has continued to happen each year. Every 4 years, contractual negotiations. We at the bargaining table are losing out, and people are taking money over health care, and we shouldn't have to choose. I think it's a false choice. And so we have to get these health insurers in check, because they're going to continue to raise costs and then send out bonuses, millions and millions of dollars. What does a person that's an executive at an insurance company need to do with $750 million or a $50 million bonus? This is what we're talking about when we start talking about bonuses. It's actually ridiculous when you start getting into the numbers that's costing that's being paid out to executives. And so it's clear to me that these insurance corporations are making millions on the backs of people, while the individuals who are doing the work out here in the streets, the police, the fire, the corrections officials, they're holding this country together. The plumbers, the skilled trades, and we're suffering. And so I think it's necessary for the Republicans to get on the side of working class people, not just Joe the plumber, because he was disillusioned. And by the way, he wanted to be a plumber, and he never was a plumber. He just wanted to be, and so he's a disillusioned. And so we have to really make this a clear issue, and that is keep costs down, cover those who are unable to get insurance, and actually protect those who are without, who suffer from catastrophic health issues.
May I just say this, Mr. Dix?
Yes.
You say that at the time you were working in the workforce, and you were sacrificing wage increases for health care, paying them off, right?
Uh-huh.
But there were other dynamics going on in the country that we don't always see. For America was the world's largest producer of consumers and services for many, many years. Now, we were losing market share over the last 50 years, we've lost tremendous market share of production throughout the country. And what has happened is we're not generating the national wealth that we were generating prior to that. So we're losing national wealth. As we lose national wealth, we lose our individual wealth too.
Well, who's losing national wealth? Because that's
the country. The country's losing national wealth.
I've been in the same situation for years. So
yeah, but you can't debate this.
Oh.
We're losing national wealth. Today, now just look at the Michigan budget. Just as an illustration, look at 5 years ago, the Michigan budget was $40 billion. Today is $30 billion.
Right.
Case in point.
Well,
That's a microcosm of what you're seeing. You multiply that by all of the states, you will see the tremendous loss in income throughout the country, in wealth. And we have $1 trillion deficit, whereas China, for example, has $1 trillion excess. Okay.
Right. Because
now,
we buy from China.
Yeah, we're losing wealth, and that's being spread out across all of us. So when you say that the system is being unfair to you because of the rising of healthcare and stuff like that, it is not necessarily. It's readjusting. It's restabilizing itself. We're a nation in decline. We're becoming a poor nation, and we need to step up to it. And
well, when we water down education, and then claim to be a nation of consumers, then what we're going to do is consume and not invent.
Yeah.
And we're going to leave it to the Asian continent to invade
but we got
us
to
with their
reinvigorate
inventions.
ourselves. We got to rededicate ourselves to education, to our kids. We gotta learn to live with less, and we gotta spread out the wealth that we have with other people to keep our country stabilized.
Right.
Because we're verging on the ways of teetering. Even Ron was talking about revolution, so
Well, something has to be done. I don't know how long the American public is going to put up with this nonsense. Changing gears here for a moment. This was sent to the In My Opinion show by Ben Stein. As he recited this on CBS. This was his morning commentary. My confession, I'm a Jew, and every single one of my ancestors was Jewish, and it does not bother me a little bit when people call those beautiful lit-up, bejeweled trees Christmas trees. I don't feel threatened. I don't feel discriminated against. That's what they are, Christmas trees. It doesn't bother me a bit when people say Merry Christmas to me. I don't think they are slighting me or getting ready to put me in a ghetto. In fact, I kind of like it. It shows that we are all brothers and sisters celebrating this happy time of year. It doesn't bother me at all that there is a manger scene on display at key intersections near my beach house in Malibu. If people want a crochet, it's just as fine with me as is the menorah a fine 100 yards away. Hope I'm pronouncing those words right. I don't like getting pushed around for being a Jew. I don't think Christians like getting pushed around for being Christians. I think people who believe in God are sick and I believe people who believe in God are sick and tired of getting pushed around, period. I have no idea where the concept came from that America is an explicitly atheist country. I can't find it in the Constitution, and I don't like it being shoved down my throat. Or maybe I can put it another way. Where did the idea come from that we should worship celebrities and we aren't allowed to follow God as we understand Him? I guess that's a sign that I'm getting old, too, but there are a lot of us who are wondering where these celebrities came from and where the America we know went. In light of the many jokes we send to one another for a laugh, this is a little different. This is not intended to be a joke. It's not funny. It's intended to get you thinking. Billy Graham's daughter was interviewed on the early show, and Jane Clausen asked her, how could God let something like this happen regarding Hurricane Katrina? And Anne Graham gave an extremely profound and insightful response. She said, I believe God is deeply saddened by this, just as we are. But for years, we've been telling God to get out of our schools, get out of our government, and to get out of our lives. And being the gentleman he is, I believe, he has calmly backed out. How can we expect God to give us his blessing and his protection if we demand he leave us alone? In light of recent events, terrorist attacks, school shootings, I think it started when Madeleine Murray O'Hara She was murdered. Her body found a few years ago. Complained she didn't want prayer in our schools. And we said, okay. Then someone said, you better not read the Bible in school. The Bible says, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, and love your neighbor as yourself. And we said, okay. Then Dr. Benjamin Spock said, we shouldn't spank our children when they misbehave because their little personalities would be warped, and we might damage their self-esteem. Dr. Spock's son committed suicide. We said an expert should know what he's talking about, and we said, okay. Now we're asking ourselves why our children have no conscience, why they don't know right from wrong, and why it doesn't bother them to kill strangers, their classmates, and themselves. Probably, if we think about long and hard enough, we can figure it out. I think it was a great deal to do. I think it has a great deal to do with reap what you sow. This is Ronald Barry Robinson and friends saying,